Hey everyone, welcome to another video on the channel. Today we are going to be going over how I made $5 million this week in GTA Online. So the first thing I did was the time trials because these are just a really easy way to make money. And of course I used the Hukuchu drag as my bike as it's probably one of the fastest in the game. So I first did the regular time trial that pays out 100 grand, and this one took a few tries to do, but in the end I ended up completing it relatively easy just by switching up the route that I took. And usually that's the case with time trials. If you switch up the route slightly than the one that's given on the GPS, it usually works out pretty well. Next up, we did the HSW time trial, which pays out $250,000, and this one was more tricky. Now, the first time I did it, it directed me to go through sort of the valley that's in the middle of the GTA map, but that is extremely hard to do when you have such a fast bike, and we're literally riding on the edge the entire time. So what I decided to do is go in the opposite direction and take the highway down the opposite side of the map to the checkpoint that we have to reach, and then cut across the map through the city. Now, the first time I did it, I made it so far and eventually screwed up halfway through, but the second time through, we did it relatively easily, relatively quickly, and completed it, making us 250 grand. Now that one was a little tricky at the beginning to first decide that I have to go through the other side of the map, but taking the highway the entire time there made it really quick and easy. Next up, I started on the current bonus money business for the week, which is the CEO cargo crates. They're paying out 1.5 times money, and if you guys haven't grinded them out or haven't sold off your full warehouses yet, I highly suggest doing so. For this week, I decided to switch up my method slightly, and I bought a second cargo crate warehouse so that we could make things more efficient. I started my first source mission from the CEO office, but once I completed that mission, I then exited the warehouse, called up the terabyte, and then called up my presser to drive over to it. And this is what I'm doing differently this time. I'm using my terabyte to make these source missions a lot more efficient. So I called up the terabyte, went into it, and started up a source mission for my other warehouse because we now have a 5-minute cooldown for the warehouse we just sourced. From there, I hopped on my presser and completed that source mission and made sure to return the terabyte to storage so that when I finished that second source mission, I was able to exit the warehouse and then call up my terabyte once again and rinse and repeat that process. So in total this week, I grinded out the business for quite a few hours, but after my first hour, I took a small break. I went and collected 250 grand from the Nightclub wall safe, as I haven't done that in quite some time. And I got a new DJ. I decided to do one of the missions, set up a new DJ, and got the popularity maxed out again. I also made sure to buy supplies for my acid lab so that it could be filled up all the way. Once that was done, I went back to the CEO crates and grinded it out for another 2 to 3 hours, probably 2 to 2.5 hours. And by then we completely filled up my medium crate warehouse at 42 crates, and we were close to 50 crates on our large warehouse. So at this point, I decided to sell off my medium warehouse, of course, because we want to sell it off at max amount. So I did that and made $1.1 million on that sale, which was great. And at this time, I decided to leave the large crate warehouse because I was thinking about maybe selling it when it's full instead of when it's only half full. Because at this point we were only at a few $1,000,000, I then decided to do a Cayo Perico heist with our regular method. It took us only about 45 minutes to complete, and we made a whopping $1.4 million. In that time, our acid lab had fully stocked up, so we did an acid lab sale mission. Now, I ran into a few issues trying to sell in public lobbies, and you'll see later on, this does become a bit of a pattern. But we eventually did the sale in the public lobby with 25 or more people, so we got $500,000 from that one sale. At this point, it's been about 4 hours time, so I went over to the wall safe at the nightclub, collected 200 grand, and then decided to sell on the stock that I had at the nightclub. Now, the first time I tried to sell, we were at about 950 grand, and usually I don't sell over $1 million, but what I've realized recently is that once we get to about the $1 million mark, almost all of the businesses that I want my technicians assigned to are maxed out. So at this point, we're like barely making money per hour. It's sort of pointless to keep waiting for the rest of the business's stock to be filled up. So I'm selling at about $1 million and went for my first sale mission. And as I was driving through the city, someone came right up behind me. It was a little too suspect, so I hopped into a new lobby, and unfortunately that lost me 100 grand. But that was not the end of my misfortunes, because I went into the next sale for 850 grand, once again in a public lobby, because I want to get that high demand bonus. And when I was about halfway through the sell mission, someone came up right behind me and blew up all of my stock, meaning that I only sold $383,000 of the $850K that we had. And if we had that high demand bonus, we would have got 1.2 million, which would have put us at the $5 million mark. So that was an unfortunate situation, and because of that, I decided to make a slight adjustment and just sell off the amount of crates that I had in my large crate warehouse. Even though I'm not maximizing my money on it, I wanted to hit at least 5 million for this week. And so I went and did the sell mission. It was really easy this time, only 3 different drop-offs, so it took us like 5 minutes to complete, and that was that. In about 6 to 6.5 hours total, we made about 5.5 million. So not the best amount of money that I've ever made per hour, but overall I'll take it. I highly suggest, if you guys are playing the game, take your time throughout the week. You can split up these 6.5 hours into 1 hour each day roughly, and you make about $5-6 million. It's a great way to just consistently grind out the game so that whenever something pops up in the game that you want to buy, you could buy it. Anyways, I hope this video helped, and I hope you guys are enjoying GTA Online right now. This video did come out really late for this week. We only have 1 more day of this bonus money going on. But for the next event week, which is happening tomorrow, I'm going to try to get out one of these kinds of videos on Friday or Saturday, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.